Today's topic is very interesting, and I've been asked to speak on the religion and how we have failed, how the religion has failed during this COVID, and the challenges that lie ahead, and the social behavior that is going to impact post-COVID. So we are just going to have a very interactive kind of session here, especially with Major General Sanjay Soy, who can also share with us how in the army, there is absolutely no religion, and how solutions are derived in the army, where religion is absolutely not matter of importance for any kind of solving our solution based issues. And Noel Masters is here, and he'll tell us a little bit about how the Christian community has been reacting to this COVID situation, and he has been a part of a lot of these masses and gatherings, and how this has changed, and what is their their impression about how the is going to be post COVID, and what do we expect from the social behavior of people. I personally feel that with my various interactions, a country like Saudi Arabia, that is supposed to be the custodian of religion Islam, has completely withdrawn itself, and challenged the scientific evidence of the COVID without challenging and without making it's a kind of a good development from their side. And if any kind of resistance from their part would have triggered a massive massive reaction from the other same religion from different parts of the world, and they have been able to do it. And similarly, we have had places like Tirupati, where there is more than 1,000 people gathering every day. That has been closed, and visitors are not able to visit that place. So that is something that we are looking at, and social distancing has been practiced in such a manner that religious activity has completely been aborted. And let us see how. I would ask Major General Sanjay Soy to talk to us about the army, and in what way the religious denominations there operate, and when it has to come together to think about nationalism, or to protect your nation, how this is going to happen. Sir, I think you have to unmute. Yeah.
Thank you, Asif. Thanks a lot for. In fact, as you know, army, it is beyond any caste, color, religion. In fact, you'll find, like in my own unit, we had a Christian CO when unit was a Kumaon regiment. Initially, I was in Kumaon regiment. Then he would do the arti. We had Muslim officers, Major Colonel Muhammad Naeem Khan. So Brigadier Farooq was another friend of mine. He would do complete Dandvat Pranam. So these things have no meaning there because issues are much bigger, much larger. Similar thing if we see at present in the COVID time, probably people have to rise above the religious this thing. If you see the in Muslims community also, a very small section which has gone slightly astray. Otherwise, by and large, most of them are following the guidelines issued by the government or issued by the health health authorities. So it is not that even Christian, they follow. When the Easter came, there's no gathering, people celebrate at home only.
Right.
So it is a very small section which need to be educated, which need to be probably brought into the ambit of the lack of communication, lack of proper communication. Miscommunication is there, and some people are misusing them, I would say.
Right.
That's the main thing.
Absolutely. And I also feel that, Indian Army and the government, when the solutions are derived by an entity like a government, if all the religions fall in one place, then it's a very positive thing for the nation as a whole.
Absolutely.
Not bringing religion in the forefront. I think it's a very imperative for us to follow this, and hope this is going to be a post-COVID response with the social behavior as well.
In fact, one more thing I wanted to bring out is it is very, very disturbing trend which I found is emerging. The
Yeah.
religious polarization during this time is going up in a big way. A lot of fake videos are coming up. A lot of fake
Right.
news is being spread. It is
Right.
very, very unfortunate. Probably we are going into slightly bigger problem more than
Right.
the COVID problem. I think we need to all understand this is the high time we all need to be together when this crisis is there.
Absolutely.
And we have to
I agree
rise
with
above
you.
all this and nation first, humanity first. That's the main
Right.
thing.
Absolutely. Mr. Noel, would you like to share just a little bit about how the Christian community has been responding to this and your church visits, how they have been?
Well, the church visits are, I would say, zero minus zero. We are not permitted because we've been told very clearly that the government instructions are being adhered to very strictly. The Sunday church services per se are all being broadcast live. The church service is also recorded for those who cannot attend live and they are attending it anytime during the day once they wake up. And I think talking about wake up, everybody's body clocks have changed. All are working on different time zones of the world. Some are on GMT, some are on Pacific
Right.
time, some are on Eastern time.
Right.
But having said that, what Major General just mentioned that beyond a small and certain sects of different communities doing crazy
Right.
things,
Right.
all are coming together. It has become a uh, national issue. It has not become a religious issue. It is not selective, or rather, let's put it this way: the pandemic is not selective in its religious thoughts.
Right.
It is going across the globe
Mhm.
blindly. So
Absolutely.
I've been seeing lots of videos that are coming about, especially in Surat, where there is a Muslim gentleman who is handling the cremation of unknown people, immaterial of whether they are Hindus, whether they are Christians, whether they are Muslims, and he says, "I am just taking care and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do." And I
Right.
think that those are the little signs that we're talking about. And post COVID, everybody is wanting to know what's going to happen post COVID. I think that if the trend is what it is today,
Mhm.
a Muslim is not a Muslim, a Hindu is not a Hindu, a Christian is not a Christian, a Sikh is not a Sikh. I think we've got something good going over here. And if we can keep up that, I think what everybody earlier were talking about, patriotism, nationalism, what Major General said, the army, we would be
Right.
one army with no
Absolutely.
with no religion over there.
Right. Wonderful, wonderful. Also, conventionally, there has always been a battle between science and religion in the primitive ages, and somehow religions have been derived out of it. And we understand that cultures, different cultures have been able to. And if you look at the largest Abrahamic religions, that's how they have evolved. We also have Mr. Vijay Saraf here today, who represents the Rajasthani Association. And he's very, very active with not the Rajasthani, but the Jain community. Vijay Saraf bhai, welcome to the session. Mr. Vijay Saraf. Praveen ji, Mr. Praveen.
Yes, Saraf has
तो
gone for a walk, I think.
अच्छा अच्छा Mr. Praveen Goenka.
He's also not there.
I think he's going to come back. And Jayanta Chakravarti Saab, why don't you speak a few words about what is happening in Calcutta with your accumulation of the Durga festivities and things like that in Calcutta, which is a very active place. Jayanta is not there. Mr. Matiullah Rahmani, maybe you could speak a little bit about what you feel about how the religion has failed during the times of COVID and what do you think is going to happen in the future?
He
You
needs
have to
to unmute.
your
Unmute.
mic. Huh?
Yeah, he's okay. Now he's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, yeah.
Now I think I can talk. Hi, everyone. I'm glad
Yes.
to be
Hi.
part of this. Though my speech was supposed to start in 30 minutes, but still it's fine. I can share my own idea as well.
Yeah.
I do believe that, I mean, there are two ways of understanding of the religion. One, which I would go as per how Imam Ghazali, one of the scholars in Islam, has come up with, that since very, very long, if you look at the Islam or the religion, mostly I'll talk with a perspective, Islamic perspective.
Yeah.
So the religion came on two ways to us, to the followers right now. Number one was through books, through Holy Quran, through other books, through scholars and stuff, which most of people in that kind of way or in that method, they are saying that God or the Almighty, which is there, he is like someone which is superpower. We cannot even think of his abilities, capabilities and stuff. He's so high and stuff. So
Yeah.
those are the people who come up with the knowledge coming from books and stuff. And at the same time, we have another group of people that those are Sufis, or people which are following very specific methods. And they believe that they call it tashabuh, that we can, I mean, assimilate God to something else which exists, actually. They give themselves that kind of permission, or they let themselves to talk about God with certain things, because they don't receive their understanding from the same way that the others do. So when it comes to these two things, I do believe that with situations like Corona, for example, if you dig deep in the past, there were some hadiths or sayings of the Prophet which was talking about different kind of sicknesses, and there were prayers to read in order to avoid it. But at the same time, there are those Sufis or mystical people who have other ways of receiving that understanding. And I do believe that they have far more understanding of the situation rather than those who are going from the books. Because, I mean, the way they are receiving the message and stuff, it's through inspirations that they receive. And things which are not visible to others, and I mean, things which are not clear to others. But these people, they still can receive things. I mean, those who are mystics and Sufis. And I do believe that even though in this situation, we could find out ways to avoid it or survive with it. But it's very, very few number of people, and it's not exercisable. But if you look at the other side, people who are reading religious books and stuff, it's true that specifically on this, I mean, we couldn't have a lot of things, and everyone's looking at scholars in other countries to develop something and then share the cure with us.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you so much. That's a nice perspective to understand. What will be more interesting is to see post-COVID in what way. Which country are you from, Matiullah?
I'm from Afghanistan.
Ah, wonderful. So we are hearing a lot of news from Afghanistan in the last few days, and we are quite concerned. India is quite concerned, and we are with you at this time of crisis. And we hope that the month of Ramadan is going to take off well, and the people of Afghanistan will remain hale and healthy.
Yeah, thanks so much. Well, the situation is uncertain at the moment because of the peace talks which is going on.
Right.
There were some issues with that, and also if you consider the attacks that happened during last 2 or 3 days,
Yes.
I mean, this is a clear message of the other side, which they are not into peace and stuff. So this makes everything complicated. And then at the same time with the coronavirus and stuff. So me, I'm coming from an entrepreneurial background. So if I talk to you on a private sector perspective, I mean, there are a number of businesses that they stop actually their operations because of the COVID-19 and quarantine. And then there are others which are facing a lot of challenges, which is not only the problem in Afghanistan, but we feel it more because in other countries, I mean, government has some budgets in order to mobilize when these things happen, like the US, the UK, and other countries. Right. But in our country, the whole thing that the government could do for us was the tax exemption during the months where COVID-19 was there. And that was the only thing that we received from government side. So
Right,
that's
right.
a big concern for private sector, the survival of businesses, and then how post COVID-19 will be. But still, I mean, I'm personally, since the beginning of COVID-19, conducting a series of webinars with established entrepreneurs and business owners
Right.
to help the new businesses and also young entrepreneurs to find out how they can cope with the situation, how they can survive, and how they can manage the situation. But it's a big concern, not only here, but in a global level.
But is social distancing being implemented in Afghanistan very strictly? Is there any resistance from the people?
Well, actually, the social distancing was good until a couple of days ago because
Right.
the police was involved, and then they were not letting people to cross the city or go from one side to another side, and also the shops, they were by force closed. But I mean, it has been 2 or 3 days, which I mean, most of the shops are still closed, but those who were having carts and they were selling on the streets and stuff, they are back on the streets, a lot of them, and small markets are opened. And now, I mean, there are a lot of people, I mean, on the streets, walking around and doing these things. And it has been only 3 to 4 days that this happened. But before that, I mean, the quarantine was very well.
Great. Wonderful. Now, Mr. Mohit Srivastava, what is happening in Delhi? How is it being placed there in Delhi? I think Mr. Mohit, Mr. Adnan, maybe you can talk about the developments that are taking place in India, in Bangalore, certain places where you know, where things are happening. What is your take on that?
The situation is good here nearby to my the place where I stay. And I have also got few information that just today there were 11 more new cases in Shivaji Nagar. So there was completely locked down in few areas. Like there are 3-4 areas where it's completely locked down. And I hope that people understand the meaning of social distancing, and I hope that everybody maintain distance and understand the importance of the current issues, and that's what it is right now in the surrounding of Bangalore. The new more cases, yes.
Right. Mr. Kamal is here, and I would like to introduce, he is the president of the World Parliament of Religions and very actively involved in the multicultural faith activity. Dr. Kemal from Turkey, would you like to throw a little bit of light on this whole thing? Kemal, I think you have to put your mic on.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, how are you?
Very good, thank you, thank you.
Greetings to everyone. This is Kemal Yıldırım from Istanbul, Turkey. And it's been more than a couple of months actually. I'm at home, you know, scared to be infected with the coronavirus as many others. So as you know, many religious authorities are closing places of worship and limiting public gatherings. Like in Saudi Arabia, they have banned, for example, foreign arrivals, and they halted visits to Mecca and Medina for Umrah. And the religious pilgrimage that Muslims can undertake at any time of year. You know, Riyadh also, they have sheltered the great mosque in Mecca and mosque in Medina for these infections. So many mosques have cancelled the Friday services. So let's say Turkey too. So Muslims are in a high risk group actually. They can pray at home and meet coronavirus concerns, and underscoring the prior prayers were actually a must for every obliged person. So instead of attending the weekly collective mosque prayers on Fridays, most of the prayers actually in the high risk group can pray at home instead of going the mosques, and the mosques are administrated as either you or the other colleagues already in the conference may know that it's administered by a Supreme Council of Religious Affairs here. So they announced that the Muslims members of high-risk groups living in countries with COVID-19 outbreak could perform their noon prayers at home instead of attending Friday prayers at a mosque, and as it's normally mandated. So nobody is allowed now to go to the mosques, and today it was a Friday too. So and I'm not going to the mosque for long actually, but I can see lots of people are affected actually a lot in moral terms actually, since they cannot follow their duties, especially on Fridays. You know, it's important for the Muslims. So in terms of psychological approach of this, and we do not know what's going to happen in the future. Perhaps according to the World Health Organization, they said this virus cannot disappear. We have to live, we have to learn how to live with this virus. So that makes people scared too. So I believe that we have to combine efforts with other religious groups to actually, at least to make the people feel flexible in terms of coronavirus. So in the sense, I do pray for all of you to be at safe, and my heart is in tune with you all. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Kamal. As a President of the Parliament of World Religions, do you see science and technology bulldozing religion?
That's an interesting question, actually. I'm not sure for that. I'm not sure for that. Maybe it would work actually to get your ideas about it. So I don't.
Well, I would be happy if that happens.
Yes.
It might bring the world on a very neutral stage without many differences, without many conflicts. And I think this has been a reason for so many conflicts. Hope that, somehow the religion is able to balance this act and, with science and technology and have some peace in this world. Thank you so much, Dr. Kemal.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. And my greetings. My greetings to everyone here. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Mr. Mohit, can you update about Delhi's the temple crowds that have been there in the last few days? Have they gone out of control or are they in control?
So right now we can't see people moving for temples and other things.
Okay.
And right, the situation is what I can see religion as. I think it's something of faith and have to believe in something. But rather, people all around the world, they have created it in something like which is more of their belief or their own perspective on it, and that's why that is making it more dangerous in a way. Now, what I want COVID, that religion should be more of humanity, more of peace, something. Every religion is talking about something which is good. We can take something like, for example, the idea of yoga. We can meditate. All religion people should focus on the good points of every kind of religion. From Muslim section, we can put out, greeting, meeting people, talk with, good words, something like that. So it should be, when we talk about religion, it should be like moving out with harmony, moving like, something where we all are together. Not as religion is something to fight for. The religion is something to live for. So that is what I want post-COVID.
Wonderful. Let us hope that the Excellency Praveen Goenka, will you like to say a few words about what you feel about this whole thing? Mr. George Piliopos, Andrea Liu, Randy Clements, anything that you would like to throw light upon? Good. So I think, yes, Sanjay ji, please go ahead, sir. Major General
Yeah, I think one good thing which is I found that in this COVID problem is that religion have become dynamic. I mean, they've shown the dynamism during this time, the kind of rigidity which has gone. In fact,
Right.
whether all the religion, including Islam also, I found, I don't know, you can correct me that there was a provision that you can do namaz at home on Fridays or during this time. There is a
Correct.
provision during this crisis time you can do. I shared it with a lot of my friends, and
Yes.
those especially from the lower strata. Okay, this is the provision exists there in the Islam, and
Right.
they really appreciated this kind of thing. Communication.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I agree to your point that they all have matured. They are showing a lot of maturity, including the leadership, like a country like Saudi Arabia, that is a custodian of a religion, and friends can take a call and say that, we don't do prayers here. I think that is a good sign of, not being rigid and understanding as to what the way things work. I think that's very important for religions, for everybody's goodwill and good health. Wonderful. So I think anybody else that want to talk? Praveen ji, are you there? I think Praveen is out of this thing. So yes, thank you so much, Mr. George. But it would have been nice that you would have given your few inputs as well. And thank you very much for your time here. I think the next session is going to. I think Mr. Matula, are you going to address the next session?
Yes, actually, my speech is the next one.
Oh, wonderful. How nice. So we are going to continue along with this. So whoever is interested in. So what are you going to speak upon, Mr. Matullah?
Well, I'm going to share my experience as an entrepreneur from Kabul.
Oh, wonderful. So I would be very happy to listen to, your entrepreneurial experience. We work very closely with Afghanistan and their embassy in India, and a lot of India-Afghanistan activities that are happening. So India being that is trade and commerce partner with Afghanistan,
Absolutely.
we would be very happy. So I think we'll be ending this session of religion, but the next session by another maybe 4 minutes will be started by Matullah, and whoever is going to be interested in Afghanistan, can remain, and I'm going to be here. I want to thank everybody for participating in this session. We'll have some more new participants, I think, to listen to Mr. Matullah, and I would be eagerly, looking forward to listen to Mr. Matullah as well. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
So Sanjay ji, I hope you'll also listen to some Afghanistan inputs.
Yes, I'm very interested. In fact, the way he brought out, I'm very
Yes.
keen to listen to him.
Yes,
Matullah,
and
all
also
the best. All the best,
Abs-
Matullah.
Thanks so
Thank you,
much.
thank you.
Thanks so much.
So Mr. Mohit, you can also make some points about Afghanistan.
Yes, of course.
So because Afghanistan is very important for us, and we had planned a visit 8 months back, but then there were elections, and the High Commissioner of Afghanistan advised to wait for this and then go back after some time.
Yeah.
So this is what it is, and and we look forward to listen to a little more of Afghanistan trade, entrepreneurs, and what the opportunities available, and in what way things are changing in Afghanistan. Something that we will be happy to listen.
And historically, India and Afghanistan have been good friends historically, and even now our friendship is like.
Absolutely, and I think Major Saab, you should share some of the India-Afghanistan, the strategic things that have happened, and what is there for us to understand as civilians and society, because we don't have all the data that people from the army have, and in what way they are.
Yeah. Sometime later, but today we'll listen to Matiullah's viewpoint.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I think it's 9 o'clock. Your session starts, Mr. Matullah. You can just go ahead.